What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another Code Peterson tutorial, and we are doing even more GB Studio. I had a question the other day come up where someone asked, is there a easy way where you can have your game remember where your character was in a location, and then if you go switch to a different menu or go to a different level, and then you return to the other one, that it could remember where you were at? And yes, you can do that. For this demonstration, I just have a simple 2D platform style game with my character here. I have an enemy and just a simple scene. And then my scene two is just what could be like a inventory menu or something like that, or a pause menu, whatever you want to use for it. Show you what this is like on default. If we run our character around and then I press start or return on my keyboard to pause it, and then I go back, it takes me back to the beginning. Now, maybe you don't mind that if you left the level for a different location, then you come back and you want to start that level over again. But if you're going to a pause menu or an inventory menu, you certainly don't want your character to go all the way back to the beginning of the level. So here's what we will do. Let's go here to our scene one. And you can see here where it says press start, change scene to scene two. And in here, what I'm going to do is the first part on here on init, I am going to set variable to value, variable set to value. All right, and this one, the first one on here, it says local 0. I'll click that drop down menu and I'll find a global variable and I'll choose variable 0. And then I'll click this little pencil. And in here, I'm going to type in level. And for the value, I'm going to set it equal to 1. Now, I only have one level on here, but chances are if you're making a game, you're going to have multiple levels and you don't want to accidentally go to the wrong level with your location. So the first thing on here with this is when this level starts here, then it is going to set my variable of level equal to 1. I can even click and drag that and move that up to the very top since, in my mind, that's happening right away in the game. Click this down arrow up here and insert event before. And I'll search for store actor position in variables. All right, now on here it asks me what actor I want to store the position in. I want the player, the character that we're controlling. And the X on here, I'll click that drop down menu and I want to find the global variables and I'll find variable 1. And then I will click the pencil and I will call this one player X. And if yours doesn't look quite like this when you are in GB Studio, you may have not updated to the latest version. So I do know sometimes things get updated, and if you're on a few versions back or whatever, you just need to upgrade your program, which is free, which is great. Great price point right there for you. The other one on here, I'll go to Y and find global and variable 2. And then this one I will call player Y. All right. So on here, we're pressing return, and then it is storing our player's X position in our Y position on here. Then after that, we need something to call it when we enter in this game where we are going to return from. And in here, I'll go to add event and go actor position. I'm going to set actor position. And then I can click this little number sign there and I will go to variable. I'm going to find player X, and then I'll go over here to Y, and I will go to player Y. All right, now we will run this game. So here are players to begin with. And then if I go to this menu and then I return back, then I'm still back where I was before. I can jump in the air, pause it, and then I can go back to where I was before. For the last part of this, if we destroy our enemy here and we press return, and then we go back to the level, the enemy returns. So this is something that we don't really want with a menu. If we were like playing Mario or something and Mario goes down a pipe and then goes underground and then comes back up the pipe, maybe it's not weird to have the enemies return. But if you're just going to your inventory screen after an enemy's just been defeated and then you go back out of the inventory screen and then that enemy's right there and potentially takes you out because you weren't expecting it to suddenly reappear after that, that is kind of weird. So this is not overly difficult to fix. It is a little bit more time consuming, but here is how you would do this. So we have our enemy here, uh, and we already have it when the enemy is hit by the character, it's deactivated. All we need to do there is just add an event and then go to set a variable to true, variable set to true. And then we'll click the drop down here and go to our global variables, and I'll go to my next available global variable, which is 3. And then I'll rename this one and I'll call this one enemy destroy. And we'll say it's equal to true. All right, then if we go back here to our scene 1 and just click on here, and then we go down to add an event, then we can say if variable true, click the drop down menu here and we'll find enemy destroy. Then we can add an event and deactivate actors. And then we need to select this drop down menu and then go and select actor 1 because that is the enemy that we are wanting to deactivate. Okay, so you would have to do that for every one of your enemies in your game that could potentially be destroyed if you want to go this route. But if we press return here, we have our enemy on there. Now if I pause, then I go back, that enemy still gone. And our pause menu or whatever still works and keeps us in that same location. That's how you can have GB Studio remember your player location. So that way, if you need to leave to a menu and then come back and you want the character to still be there, and then also a way for you to keep track if enemies have been destroyed or not. And then also don't forget the little thing in there where we said if your level's equal to 1, then you go to scene 1, and then that's what allows you to build that for multiple levels. Hopefully that answers your question and is not too difficult to follow. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if it's helpful or if you want me to elaborate on any of it. As always, I appreciate y'all watching and always appreciate the feedback, and I hope to catch you on another video down the road.